this latest installment of the True Power series, the Akatsuki edition, we're going to cover everyone's favorite mad bomber by day and art lover by night, Deidara. I'll be honest with you guys. From the very moment that we got introduced to Deidara, I've always been in love with this character. The guy's design, from his hair to the way he molded the clay using his hands, was absolutely amazing. The guy legit creeped me out when I first saw him, but in a good way. Then, seeing how easily he took down Gaara, who was an absolute powerhouse, that pretty much cemented me into the Team Deidara camp. However, this video isn't just about talking about my love affair for Deidara, but instead it's talking about how powerful he is. So let's take an unbiased look at his power. So starting right off, Deidara is a lot more skilled than we give him credit for. Like the other members of the Akatsuki, with Hidan and Sasori being the glaring exceptions, Deidara has a mastery over more than one change in chakra nature, but his chakra types will make you raise an eyebrow. Obviously, we know Deidara has Earth Release, but he also has a small level of mastery over Lightning Release, according to what Kishimoto wrote in Naruto Data Book 4. However, this actually turns out to be pretty important, since Deidara actually has a Kekkei Genkai that makes usage of both changes in chakra nature. His Kekkei Genkai is actually Explosion Release. Explosion Release is basically what you guys think it is. Basically, things go kaboom if we break it down to the most basic explanation, maybe kaboom, boom, boom, bam if you want to add a few more details to it. However, a more detailed look at this is that Explosion Release is a mix of earth and lightning style chakra that allows the user to create detonations. The power seems to be exclusive to those who are in the rock country, because there was actually a whole corps that specialized in the explosion technique. For a very long time, I used to think that this was just a hidden jutsu of the Rock Village, similar to how the Hidden Leaf Village has the hidden jutsu of the Nara clan, but its technical classification is the Kekkei Genkai. Now, there are different variations to the Explosion Release, but for the purposes of this video, I'll only be talking about Deidara's variations of them. Deidara mainly uses Explosion Release when he's using his explosive clay. Now, the usage of the explosive clay that Deidara is using his Kekkei Genkai and combining it with the forbidden jutsu of his village, which allows users to mold their chakra into objects, in the case of Deidara being clay. Deidara will also do this by feeding the clay into one of the mouths in his hand, or he'll use it using his own mouth. In the Akatsuki Hidan novel, it was revealed that Deidara is a bit of a snob when it comes to choosing the type of clay that he uses. If he deems a clay to be inferior, the guy won't use it, even though he's just using the clay to blow stuff up. For him, art is an explosion, and only the finest clay will do for this. Taking things a bit step further, once he finds a clay that he finds suitable, Deidara prepares the clay based off of rankings, which you guys are very familiar with, C1 all the way to C0. C1 is his weakest variant of clay and is often molded to form insects and other small-like creatures. Deidara often creates these to sneak into small places or to sneak into areas where he physically can't go himself, and then he blows up targets once they're in position. C1 is what Deidara uses when he uses the clay to be molded using the mouth on his hand. Now, C2 take things to a bit of a higher level. C2 is a large dragon that we see Deidara riding on. The dragon is capable of making bombs that can be fired off like projectiles. It creates clay mines as well. The combination of projectiles and clay mines is enough to force whoever Deidara is fighting into a very tight space, since they have to be aware of stepping onto the clay mines while also dodging the projectiles being fired off by Deidara. These mines are tricky enough that Sasuke had to pull off some insanely crazy stuff in the anime just to be able to avoid it. He had to pin his sword into the ground and run lightning chakra through it in order to disable the bombs. Otherwise, Deidara would have maintained the advantage during their fight. To form this clay, Deidara has to use both hands to pull it off. C3 takes the explosiveness up to an entirely different level. It's at this point that Deidara is officially a city buster, since it was stated in the Shana Show data book that C3 is a casual village destroyer. Deidara forms his clay by creating a statue in the shape of a human being, and he drops it from above. Deidara creates the statue in a way that maximizes the destructive power that's being unleashed by the explosion. explosion. Now, C4 is when Deidara creates a giant doll of himself, and when it's used, it releases a small microscopic bomb that is too small to be seen by a normal eye. Small things like breathing, which last time I checked was pretty damn important for a ninja, becomes a problem when you fight Deidara, since breathing allows these bombs to make their way into your bloodstream. This attack is used to destroy Deidara's enemy on a cellular level, and it's crazy as hell when you think about it. If you don't have lightning release or a Sharingan to see the bombs running through your blood, you're pretty much screwed. C4 is created by using Deidara's mouth, which is also pretty big since everything before now Deidara used his hands to create. This is also his most disrespectful jutsu when it comes to the dude showing off his mouth game, and he spits out the white substance to use for battle. C0 is perhaps his most well-known jutsu. C0 is his ultimate trump card. Deidara pulls together all of his chakra and he turns his entire body into a bomb. The destructive force was great enough that anything within 10 kilometers is automatically destroyed. The craziest thing about this jutsu is that it's directly connected to Deidara's heart, proving just why it's considered to be a suicide attack, because Deidara uses the mouth above his heart to mold the clay, and he uses every last bit of his chakra to do so. Deidara was truly deserving of the rank of an S-class ninja, and there was a reason why even Pain acknowledged Deidara's power and had him recruited into the Akatsuki. The guy had enough battle intelligence to take down Gaara, who, on top of being the One-Tails Jinchuriki, was also the Kazekage of the Hidden Sand Village. The entire time he fought Gaara, Deidara was in full control, turning what should have been a disadvantage into something that he could use in his favor. In the anime, filler was added to the capture of the Three Tails, and it's implied that Deidara's attacks are ultimately what ended the battle with the Three Tails. When he fought against Sasuke, despite being at an elemental disadvantage, Deidara was arguably on equal ground, if not slightly above Sasuke during that fight, with Sasuke mostly surviving the battle due to the aid of Kishimoto's favorite jutsu for Sasuke, which is Plot no Jutsu. Like the third Hokage and like with Minato, Deidara's intelligence is ultimately his best weapon. His different variations of the explosive clay allow him to fight using espionage, misdirections, diversions, and even calculated gambles that hardly backfire. That's one of the reasons why I say that the Sasuke versus Deidara fight is extremely underrated by Naruto fans. Sasuke was a freaking prodigy, and yet Deidara was able to get the drop on Sasuke quite a few times in that fight. He had Tobi plant clay mines underground, and he trapped Sasuke between the mines and between his clay dragon. Deidara also managed to get the C4 bombs into Sasuke's bloodstream before Sasuke even realized it, and by the time he caught on, Sasuke was almost at a disadvantage, and he even forced Sasuke to use up nearly all of his chakra just to fight Deidara to a stalemate, despite Sasuke having the elemental advantage since most of Deidara's attacks are earth-based and Sasuke was using lightning chakra to counter, which is a feat in itself when it comes to his battle IQ. Deidara also takes the usage of the Shadow Clone Jutsu to an entirely different level. Deidara has the explosive Shadow Clone that he uses for essentially suicide bomb attacks. Deidara makes the Shadow Clone ingests explosive clay, and Deidara uses this as a diversion tactic to escape, as shown in volume 31 of the Naruto manga. When Deidara makes his clay clone, it takes the clone jutsu to an entirely different level. It's good enough that it briefly fooled Sasuke, and after being hit by an attack, the clay clone is used to trap the enemy to keep them from moving. And if Deidara mixes in explosive clay with the clone, then it can be used to detonate right afterwards. Earth Style Hiding Like a Mole Jutsu has a bit of a funny name, but it's a really neat jutsu that can come in handy. Basically, Deidara changes the ground into sand by funneling his chakra into it. Deidara is then able to move underground with ease. Using this jutsu also requires him to use the magnetic force around him to pinpoint his own location as well as those who are above him, which makes it easier for him to plan his sneak attacks accordingly. During the Kazekage rescue arc, Deidara use this jutsu to hide and wait until Team Kakashi and Team Guy, as well as all of the sand ninja, left the area. Deidara can also use his clay to turn into physical dolls capable of fighting in battle, with some of them being able to stretch their limbs and others being capable of regeneration if they lose their limbs in battle. Like the name implies, Deidara can blow these dolls up at any given moment when he chooses to. Finally, what is the most impressive thing about Deidara, at least in my opinion, which again, to restate, this is my opinion. After he was one-shotted by Itachi, the guy trained his freaking eye to be able to resist genjutsu, being able to see through and break down a genjutsu instead of being affected by it, which in itself is pretty damn nuts. Well guys, that's it for my video today. So what is your favorite jutsu by Deidara, and how do you think Deidara would have fared if he got a rematch against Itachi? Up next will be everyone's favorite puppet master, and I'll go ahead and apologize to anyone who might have Kankuro or Chiyo or whoever is your favorite puppet master. But as always guys, if you like anything I had to say, don't forget to comment, rate, subscribe, share, and never forget that Senju DNA is love and Senju DNA is life.